your hands down on your legs. Bringing here your ring finger to join your thumb. So very often we'll do pointer finger to thumb, that little OK sign. Here we're playing with that ring finger to thumb. And just keep that connection as your eyes close or your gaze softens here. Keep your awareness on that point of touch between each ring finger and thumb. Not losing that connection, but also finding an awareness of a lengthening into your spine. A softening of your sit bones down. A softening of your shoulders. Bringing the awareness back to that connection between the ring finger and the tip of your thumb. Notice the sensation of breathing here. Breathing in, breathing out. I'm just beginning here to seek an equal length inhale and exhale. And you can find that by counting in your own mind, counting how long it takes to breathe in, how long it takes to breathe out. And if one is shorter than the other, then just slowing and lengthening that shorter piece. So that each inhale and each exhale is the same length of time. And taking this length of time, this internal count for your inhale and your exhale, we'll transition this to the square breath. And that means that we'll take a pause for that same length of time between each inhale and each exhale. So your breath pattern will be inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Moving in your own breath pattern. So whatever number you've already been working with, that will be the length of each pause, the length of each inhale, the length of each exhale. This is called the square breath. Each piece of the breath is the same length, just as each side of a square is the same length. Good. We'll do one more round of this square breath. When you finish your final pause after your final exhale, keep your gaze inwards and simply allow your breath to return to an unforced pattern. And take a moment here, tuning in, noticing how you feel, what you notice practicing these square breaths. Bringing your awareness back to this point of connection between your thumb and your ring finger. As you're ready, we'll allow the eyes to open, returning here to this space. And as your eyes open, let's transition, please, to our hands and our knees. Hands and our knees. And as you settle your hands down beneath your shoulders, knees beneath your hips, we can define a fluid movement here. So very similar to our cat and cow, but instead we're making a little bit of a circle with the body. So the right and the left hips and shoulders are moving. The spine is circling. Head also can be in motion here. So just might imagine that you're kind of stretching after waking up, moving into your hips, your shoulders, your spine, your neck, and your side body. Just full body stretches here. Let this movement be organic. Let this movement respond to tightness that you might have in your body. Just noticing here, noticing the areas that crave a little bit more movement. And then noticing the opposite, noticing areas that might be resistant to your movement. And let's begin just to transition to tabletop, neutral spine tabletop. Curl your toes under if they're not already curled under. And send your hips towards your heels. We're taking a modified version of our child's pose here. Toes curled under is going to reduce that curve into your low back. As your hips come to your heels, lengthen your arms forward, soften your forehead down to the ground, or if it doesn't come easily to the ground, maybe to a block. Good. Come back to an equal inhale, equal exhale. Good. On an inhale, begin to walk yourself back up to neutral spine tabletop. Gaze down, spine parallel to the ground. Let's walk your right foot forward here between your hands. And if your hands don't come to the earth easily here, here's one place you might want to start using your blocks, bringing hands to the blocks just beneath your shoulders. Begin to soften your hips forward here. Pull your gaze up. Nice big inhale here. Look up, stretch into the front of your throat. As you exhale, straighten into your right leg. Drop your gaze down. And so we're inhaling, coming forward, hips forward, heart forward. Exhale, rounding back. Good. And my right toes are staying down as I send my hips backwards. You might receive better stretch if, as your hips come backwards, you let those toes peel up and away from the ground. So really, there's no right or wrong here. Yogis say the stretch that we're more resistant to is the stretch that really is the one that our bodies need. So if one of these stretches activates more sensation for you, maybe that's the variation that you'll invite today. Just staying here centered with the breath, joining each movement fully with your breath. Good. The next time you come hips back, let's stay here. And if you need to make any adjustments here to be comfortable breathing here, feel free to do that. And so that might mean some extra padding underneath that back knee. That might mean playing with the height of your blocks. That makes you more comfortable. Anything that feels good for you here, allow yourself to dive into that sensation. Coming back to an awareness here of that steady movement, breath in, equal length breath out. Good. Let's begin to settle the sole of your foot back down if it's not already. Walk both blocks or hands forward. Invite your right knee backwards here. If you've been using blocks, bring your hands fully to the ground beneath your shoulders, and then bend into your elbows. Release your elbows down beneath your shoulders. Keep your gaze down here. Bring some awareness to the spine. Keep the low back lengthening, not curving down. So low back lengthening, spine pretty parallel to the ground. Keep your gaze down. Bring the back of your head up though. So gaze is down, back of your head is going to lift lightly towards the ceiling. That movement is going to align your neck with your spine. Chin here is tucked slightly in, so we don't want wrinkles in the back of our neck. See if you can invite a softening here into your jaw as you breathe into whatever sensation you're feeling here, most likely into the shoulders. Good. Next inhale, let's plant your hands down, lift your torso upwards. Walk your left hand ever so slightly towards your midline. Use an inhale, extend your right fingertips up. Breathing here. Gaze could be lifted, could be lowered. The next exhale, lower that right hand down. And we'll bring left foot forward between your hands. Good. And again, always that option to play with blocks underneath your hands here. Let your hips soften forward here. Gaze lift. Big inhale here. As you exhale, send your hips back, straighten into your front leg. Drop your gaze down. And just moving here, breathing on this side. Inhaling forward, looking up. Exhaling backwards, looking down. We'll do one more time forward here. As we come back, make any adjustments you need to hold this shape, to breathe here. So if you need to change the height of your blocks, might even make like a little micro adjustment, shifting the angle of your hips, anything that allows your breath and energy to move more easily in your body. Good. One more inhale here. As you exhale, bend once more into your front knee. Send that front knee back beneath its same hip. Scoot any blocks you might have been using here off to the side. Bring both the elbows directly down beneath your shoulders. Good. So this is our prep for our dolphin pose. Find that action of lengthening into the low back. Align the tips of your earlobes just over the shoulders. Find a steady breath here. Outer body still, inner body bright with your breath, bright with that pranic energy of the universe moving here, enlivening all of your cells as you breathe deeply. So next inhale, press your palms down, lift your heart upwards. Walk now your right hand slightly in towards your midline. Use an inhale, extend your left fingertips up, breathing here. Good, big inhale, lower your lifted hand. Curl your toes under if they're not already. Walk your fingertips back towards your knees. As your fingers come towards your knees, lift your knees upwards. Walk your fingertips inwards, balancing here on your toes. So heels are lifted, hands are down, coming here into a low squat. Breathing here. And as we prepare to stand, you might first drop your heels, lift your hips, or you might bring your hands to your heart, drop your heels, and come all the way up to standing. So whichever way you get there, find yourself at standing at the top line of your yoga mat. Take an inhale here, stretch your fingers up. Exhale, lengthen forward, lower down. Find a half lift here, gaze down, spine long. Soften inwards here. Take a nice big step back with your right toes, bend into your left knee. Good, draw the inner edges of your thighs towards each other. Hands here down on the ground or on blocks. Press back through your lifted right heel. Extend forward through the crown of your head. Big inhale here. As you exhale, bring your hands towards each other, heart center. Good, hands might stay at heart center, might lift upwards. Breathing here into our lunge. Each inhale, an invitation to lengthen up through your spine, through those lifted fingers. Each exhale, an invitation to soften. Maybe inviting the shoulder blades to soften. Maybe some of these muscles that are working hard to support us might begin to soften, might begin to relax. Big inhale here. Exhale, bring your hands towards each other if they're not already. With control, lower your right knee all the way down. Toes might stay curled under, or you might choose to uncurl the toes. Your choice. Inhale here, extend your fingertips up. Find a conscious softening of your shoulders here. Pull your thumbs backwards. Lift your sternum, lift your gaze, leaning here into our crescent moon pose. Big, steady breath. Big inhale. Exhale, bring both hands down. Frame your left foot. Good, and again, always that option when hands come to the ground to use blocks. Walk your hands on the inside of your left foot. Walk your left foot to the outside of your mat. Tap into your breath here. Good. Bringing awareness to those back toes. Toes could be curled under, could be uncurled. Play and see which of those variations serves you best. Remembering that sometimes what serves us best isn't always what feels best. So making that discernment, steady breath in, steady breath out. Noticing here the response of your body as we hold these shapes. Good. Nice inhale. Let your next exhale be a releasing of your left knee backwards. Left knee comes back, settling underneath the left hip. Good option for toes curled under or uncurled toes here. Let's send your hips towards your heels. Lengthen your arms forward, coming into our child's pose here. Settle your brow point on the ground or on a block. We started with our feet side by side here, but if you prefer that variation with your knees wide for your child's pose, feel free to go there. Let yourself come to your breath here. Palms might be down, or you might rotate your palms upwards here in the shape of the child. Breathe here. And if you took that variation with the palms up, let's rotate your palms downwards. Press yourself up to your hands and your knees. Walk your fingertips towards your knees and curl your toes under if they're not already. We'll lift the knees upwards here and choose your favorite way to come to standing. So hips up and hands up, or hands to heart center and the whole body rising. We'll find our way back to that top line of your yoga mat. As you come to the top line of your yoga mat, reach your fingers upwards, big Urdhva Hastasana here. Use your exhale, pour yourself forward, reaching for your toes in this Uttanasana. Find your half lift, stretch the crown of your head forward, sit bones back, then exhale, soften in. Step back with the left toes, right knee bends, setting up for our lunge on the second side. So keep that back left heel free. Option for blocks beneath your hands. Press backwards through your lifted heel, extend forward through the crown of your head. Good. Breathe into this line of energy. Big inhale here. Exhale, draw your belly in, lift your torso upwards. Option to stay here, hands at heart, or reach your arms parallel to your ears. If you choose to lift your arms upwards here, invite your fingers to be super active. Fingers really active, a big part of this pose. We're not lazy hands. Breathe into your body. Good. Feel that energy moving throughout your whole body here. Big inhale. Exhale, bring your palms towards each other if they're not already at heart center. And with control, we'll lower our back knee down. Good. As the left knee lowers, the left toes might stay curled under for stability or might release their curl. Let's extend your arms upwards here. Good. If the shoulders feel tight, feel free to bend into the elbows. That'll give you a little bit more space into the shoulders here. Draw your low belly in, pull your thumbs backwards, lengthen your front body here as you lift your gaze. Breathing here into our Anjaneyasana. Big inhale. Let's exhale, settle both hands down. Good. As your hands reach downwards, let's invite the right knee backwards. Good. Take your favorite variation of your Balasana, the pose of the child here. Sink your hips back, lower your head down. You might do exactly what we did last time, which is palms rotating upwards and forwards, or you might play with how it feels to reach backwards for your heels. Either way, do give yourself something on which to rest your forehead. As your forehead rests down, find a movement side to side into your head, massaging that point of your brow that's touching into the ground. And if your hands are backwards, extend them forward. If your palms are rotated upwards, rotate them down. And we'll bring ourselves up to a kneeling position. Good. And from a kneeling position, grab a hold of your two blocks and let's bring ourselves all the way up to standing. As we come to standing, face the long side of your yoga mat. Place those blocks down about shoulders width distance apart in the center of the long line of your yoga mat. Take your feet, step your feet away from each other here. Start toes forward. Good. Separate your feet enough that we can press actively into the outer edges. Lift up on the inner ankles. We don't want to have those ankles collapsing. You take a big inhale here. Extend your arms out and up. Exhale, lengthen forward and down. Catch the blocks with your hands. Good. Keep yourself high. Start high, spine parallel to the ground. Extend your sit bones backwards. Good. Gaze here is down. With your gaze down, lift the back of your head enough to align your neck with your spine. From that action, press forward through the crown of your head. It's as if you're creating space between the vertebrae. Breathing into this shape. Good. Here, walk your left hand and block underneath your nose. Extend your right fingertips up. Breathing here. Gaze could be lifted to follow that right thumb. These might lower, looking at that left supporting hand. Good. On an inhale, lower the right hand down to your block. Walk both blocks over to the left knee. Bend into your left knee, straighten into the right leg. Sorry, it was right knee. Bending into the right, straightening into the left. Yeah, so same leg is bending as the arm that was just lifting. Good. So left leg, those toes could be down and pointing forward, might rotate up, pointing to the ceiling. Good. Right heel, so the side of the knee that we're bending into, right heel might be lifted up, might be lowering down, connecting to the ground. Hands might stay on the blocks, or you might play with bringing your hands towards each other. Breathing here wherever we are. Steady inhale, steady exhale. Good. Next exhale. Let's bring your hands back to your blocks if they're not there already. Use your inhale to surf back towards center, back into this wide leg forward fold with our blocks on their tallest height. Make any adjustments you need to your feet here. Maintain that sense of stability, that action of lifting on your inner ankles as you press actively into the outer edges of your feet. Good. With your spine parallel to the ground, stretch your sit bones back. Extend the crown of your head forward. Big breath in. Easy breath out here. Another full conscious breath cycle. Good. Bring now your right hand and block in towards your midline. Stretch your left fingertips up to the sky. Breathing here. On an inhale, lower your lifted hand. Walk your blocks now towards the left toes. As our blocks come to the left, bend into that left knee, straighten into your right leg. Bending into the same knee as the arm we just had lifted. Keep those left toes pointing, or keep the opposite toes pointing forward, or rotate them up here. So long leg. Toes might stay down as a little bit more stable. You get access to a little bit more stretch if you spin the toes up, keep the heel down. And if it's available to you, you might drop the left heel down or keep that left heel pulling up into the body. Hands here might be on our blocks, or you might bring your hands to heart center, balancing here. Good. Next exhale, bring your hands back to your blocks if they're not there already. Surf yourself back towards center, hips tall, hands beneath your shoulders. You might stay here, hands high on your blocks. We're going to invite the spine to round though. So to do that, you might change the height of your blocks or even move your blocks completely out of the way if you have that availability. The floor very close to you. You might even play with rotating fingers back, walking your fingers towards your heels and lightly resting without any weight, the crown of your head down to the ground. Wherever you are, find that steady inhale, steady exhale. Good. On an inhale, begin to walk your hands beneath your shoulders. Coming back onto blocks if you're not there already. You can step or hop or heel toe the feet closer to each other, coming back hips with distance apart. Good. As your feet come hips distance here, lift your heels up, bend into your knees, drop your weight into your hips and your heels, coming to a low squat. So different from our yogi squat in that heels are lifted here. Breathing here. Good. Drop your hands down to the floor or your blocks and lift your hips, or bring your hands to heart center and come all the way up to standing here. Good. Still standing, facing that long side of your yoga mat. Let's take our blocks now. Place one block on each short side of your yoga mat. If you're using one block, that's fine. We'll just switch side to side. So still facing the long side of your mat. Extend your feet in heels away from each other. Good. Rotate the right toes to face the short line of your yoga mat. Left toes are going to continue facing the long side of your yoga mat. Take the left hand, bring the left hand behind your back. Reach forward with the right hand, grab for the right block in your right hand. Extend your hand with block to shoulder height. Rotate your gaze looking to the right. Good. Keep your awareness of the outer edge of that left foot. So that back foot, press the outer edge of your back foot into the ground. Keep that action of pressing the back foot down as you lengthen forward over your long right leg. Inhale here. As you exhale, drop that right block down on the inner edge of the right ankle. Roll your top shoulder open, lean your shoulder girdle backwards. Feel that length into your left side body. You might stay here, or you might extend the left fingertips up, coming here into our Trikonasana. Gaze might be lifted, might be lowered. Keep pressing into the outer edge of that back foot. Extend forward through the crown of your head. Find a steady breath here. Good. Actively press the heels away from each other. Let that action lift your torso upwards here. As the torso lifts, rotate the 10 toes to face center, that long line of your mat. Bring your hands back to your hips. Good. Making any adjustments you need with the blocks. And if we're using one block, we'll switch to our second side. Good. Now, right toes are going to face that long line of your yoga mat. Left toes are going to rotate facing the short line of your yoga mat. Both legs straight here. Snake now the right hand behind your back. Reach with the left. Grab a hold of your block with your left hand. Reach your left arm up to shoulder height. Rotate your gaze looking left, looking towards the block. Good. Press your weight equally into both heels here. With your weight pressing equally into both heels, inhale, stretch up first. Stretch towards the ceiling, then lengthen long over that front leg. Drop your block down on the inner ankle. Rotate your top shoulder up. Stack top shoulder over lower shoulder. Invite the whole shoulder girdle backwards. You might keep your hand behind your back. This is especially good for folks who have shoulder issues, or you might stretch the right fingertips up to the sky. Breathing here in our Trikonasana, triangle pose. Keep that action of pressing actively into the right heel. Extend forward through the crown of your head. Keep that length in the side body as you breathe. Good. On an inhale, press your heels down and away from each other. Let that action lift your torso upwards. As you rise, find your hips with your hands. Rotate your 10 toes towards center. Good. Heel toe your feet here slightly in towards each other. Slightly in. Good. Stop with the heels pointing inwards, toes pointing outwards. We're slightly wider than hips width distance apart here. You're going to bend into your knees. Good. Weight here is in the hips and the heels. Might bring your hands down to your knees. Might keep your hands in your hips. Softening here down into our horse squat. Breathing here. Good. Try to avoid that sensation of curving into the low back. Good. Press into your heels. Lift your arms upwards. Big inhale here. Exhale, step or hop your feet towards each other. Good. Take those block or blocks, set them off on the side of your yoga mat. We'll again come to facing the front line of your yoga mat. Take an inhale here, sweeping up. Exhale, lengthen forward, lowering down, coming into our Uttanasana, forward fold. Take your half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, soften in here. Plant your hands down on your mat. Step your feet backwards. Stepping into your downward dog. Here, bring both knees down to the ground. As your knees lower, drop your weight here into your elbows. Find that action of flattening the curve in the low back, tucking the tailbone ever so slightly. Keep your toes curled under. Option to stay here or lift your hips up and back, coming to our dolphin pose. If you're lifted in dolphin, Might walk the toes slightly forward. Breathing deeply here. Good. Let's lower our knees if they're not already. Press your hands down into the ground, bringing yourself back up into your tabletop position. And then we'll shift through a seat so that we can come to lying in our back body. As you come to lying down, please make sure you have your blocks within reaching distance. So come to your back with your knees bent, hands down by your side. Good. Take a moment here, close your eyes, connect with the feeling of your body here on the ground. Good. Send, if they're not already, your thighs and knees parallel to each other, both hips width distance apart. Press into your heels here. Lift your hips up. Exhale, soften your hips back down to the ground. So really simple bridge poses here. Hands stay down by your side as you inhale, hips lift. Exhale, hips lower. Moving with your breath, inhaling into our bridge pose, exhaling down. One more time, lifting up, Svipada Pitam. Exhale down. Good. So here, take a hold of one of your blocks. Do the same action, press into your heels, lift your hips up. As your hips rise, slip your blocks underneath your back, lower your hips down. We want the block to be low enough that it's not in the curve of the lumbar spine. So the block is going to be much further down. It's really supporting the weight of the hips, the weight of the glutes. The block is best used if its broad side is facing your body. This might feel good for you. If you do have two blocks and if you want some more lift, feel free to do that action again, pressing into the hips, lifting your hips, lowering a block underneath your sacrum, and then resting the weight of your body down. This should feel stable. So if you feel, whether you're on one or two blocks, if you feel like you're going to fall, shift the blocks further down. Usually when we feel unstable, it means the blocks are too high into that curve of the spine. And so here we are, we're resting our weight onto the blocks, hands are by our sides. We're now in a restorative pose. We're going to spend some time here. If you feel pinching in your low back, go lower on your blocks. If you're on one block and you feel pinching, you might go lower and just slip a blanket, a folded blanket, instead of a block underneath your sacrum. And just breathing here. Let your body take in the rejuvenating effects of this backward bending shape. Feeling this movement of prana within your body as you consciously breathe. Good. Anytime your mind begins to wander, just bring your awareness back to the sensation of your body in this shape, into the movement of breath and energy through your body. Keep your awareness on your breath. Here, we'll begin to press into your heels. Let your hips rise. Slip anything beneath your sacrum off to the side. And gently lower your hips here back down to the ground. As your hips lower, walk the inner edges of your feet together. Join the soles of your feet towards each other. Let your knees open away from each other. And here, you might choose to set a block underneath each knee. You might choose here to send one hand to your heart, one to your belly. Let your eyes close here, softening into our reclining butterfly, Supta Baddha Konasana. And here, noticing the tactile sensation of your breath beneath your hands. Noticing the act of breathing, the act of relaxing. You might choose to stay in this shape as we move into the time of our Shavasana. If you're comfortable here, certainly feel free to stay here for longer as we rest. Or you might choose to take that traditional Shavasana, drawing the knees towards each other, lengthening your legs long, and resting your arms by your side with your palms up. Whichever of these two variations you take, just invite your body to rest deeply here. Let the full weight of your body be supported. Whether your hands are on your chest or your belly or resting down by your side, just allow your breath to come into its unforced pattern. Allow your mind and your body to deeply rest. You're in the easiness of your corpse pose. And begin here to come back to an awareness of your breath. Consciously lengthen your inhale Find those small movements in your body as they make sense to you. Movements of your fingers and your toes, wrists and ankles. And if your knees are reaching outwards, if you took the Shavasana in your butterfly pose, bring your knees inwards and stretch your body long. Your toes back, hands backwards. And then bring your knees to your chest. Wrap your arms around your knees. This helps the movement side to side here as you breathe. Coming as you're ready to rest on one side. Pressing yourself back into a seat. And as you find your seat, bring your palms towards each other. Drop your chin inwards. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. And just come back into a version of our square breath. Finding here an equal length inhale and exhale. An equal length pause between each of these cycles of your breath. And with your next exhale, let your hands settle down. Let your breath return to normal. Take a moment before you open your eyes to thank yourself for creating this time to connect with your breath and your body. I'm so grateful to be able to spend this time with you today, stretching.